Welcome to Nerd Alert, Stardate April 1st. I'm Jeff Rubin here with John Gabris and Kotaku writer Stephen Totillo. On today's episode, we are going to be talking to a former college humor writer who recently appeared on Jeopardy and find out which of those two achievements women find most impressive. We are going to be hearing some embarrassing nerd stories from our friends in a new segment we're calling Owning Up. It's like 17 Magazine's Trauma-Rama, but with Game Boys instead of periods. And of course, we're going to be talking about Nintendo's 3DS. Nintendo's new 3D handheld system that doesn't require you to wear glasses was released this week along with games for a wide variety of audiences, including sports fans, puzzle addicts, and whoever is buying Nintendogs. So, which is the game I should get? But first, let's talk about that 3DS itself. Like an iPhone, it's got a touch screen, Wi-Fi, a camera, and it doesn't make phone calls. Should I get one, John?
Jeff, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to say no. I feel like you should read books.
What?
Yeah, I know, I controversial pro-book stance here, but like, go home and play video games on an awesome system when they're in-depth and exciting, rather than just like flying a hang glider around on the subway.
Steven, what do you think? Worth getting?
There's really not much of a good reason to jump on right away, and if you just wait a couple of months, the price isn't going to go down, but there's going to be more games, more features.
But if you consider that I want it right now...
It's $250. It doesn't even do all the things it's supposed to do yet. If you're crazy about Nintendo, yeah, of course, you probably already got one.
Let's talk about the 3D itself for a second, because it's kind of hard to imagine what the 3DS is like until you've held one. How would you describe the 3D effect?
I tell people to think about looking at like a photograph of fish and then looking at an aquarium, and that's the difference essentially.
I feel like you have to be sort of perfect with it. You have to have it at like the exact right distance.
To their credit, they've got that slider on there, so it's way better than like 3D TVs that I've used.
Right, there's a slider on it that you can control how much 3D, how deep it is, and you can just turn the 3D off if you want.
And you could go all the way up to 4D, and then you could feel like sneezes and stuff on you, like Honey, I Shrunk the Audience.
Why would I not just put the pedal down? As much 3D as you got. I want to be in Woohoo Island.
Maybe I'm really old and I might sound like my father, but like it hurts my head after a while.
You have to look at it at a very specific angle because of the way the 3D works.
It's like it's like one of those hologram like Marvel cards where you have to like hold it at the right spot in between Spider-Man and Venom.
I was playing it on the subway, and then I looked up at the window at the car moving, and my brain just did not know how to process space for a second. It like really flipped out.
It's like when Neo comes out of the Matrix, he's like,
I want to read from the instruction booklet for a second.
Can we just talk about, by the way, this is like a 500 cubic square foot trunk with just a Nintendo instruction booklet on it?
The instructions say, warning, eye strain and motion sickness. Playing video games can result in eye strain after a sustained period of time. Duh, I've been doing this forever. But then it notes, take a 10 to 15 minute break every hour, or every half hour when using the 3D feature, even if you don't need it. If you have to stop using it, if they have to put a warning in telling you to stop using it every 15 to 30 minutes, is the technology actually ready?
The tech is fine, it's that the games aren't made right for the tech yet. It's like when the Wii came out and everybody got so excited that you could swing the remote around that you had all these stupid games where you're just like shaking your hands like crazy all the time. After a while, they kind of settled down and they were like, okay, not every game has to have this in it all the time. It's like when you go to like a 3D movie, right? I mean, I think it's like good when you forget that you actually have the 3D glasses on and you kind of just, you're getting something out of it, but you're not being hit over the head.
We're still at the ping pong ball being bounced into your face phase of 3D gaming.
And here, I think they're eventually going to figure out that not every game has to have this like mind-bending, eye-straining 3D, and they're gonna like chill out.
Like I was playing Pilot Wings, and I was like, this game's good, but I don't know if it's worth enduring physical pain to keep playing it. But which, if any of the 3DS games, are worth a headache to play? Your thoughts, Steven?
I'm gonna have to go with Pilot Wings Resort. It's not garbage, which is
I'm gonna have to agree with Steven for the first time in our 5-year relationship.
The best thing to use the 3DS for is the stuff that's already in the system, like the augmented reality thing. Do you guys do that?
The cards.
Yeah, you put the card on the table. You don't even have to use the 3D, and you use the system almost like a viewfinder, and you see like a dragon pop out of the card or Mario pop out of the card, and it's augmented reality.
That blew my mind.
If I want to show someone the 3DS to show how the 3D works, and I just have a few minutes, I'm going right to Face Raiders, which is also built into it, where you can take a picture of someone's face, and then it's kind of like it's swarming at you, and you have to just shoot at them.
But with both of those games, they're really fun to play, but you cannot play them in front of other people.
Which somewhat defeats the purpose of a portable system.
Yeah, that you have to stand up and walk around. First of all, I don't want to move at all when I'm playing video games. I want to shut down from here down.
And they have that weird thing though, that like weird stalker thing that they have going on the 3DS, where the systems all talk to each other.
Street Pass, I believe it's called. Even when your system is closed and in your pocket, it's constantly looking for other 3DSs to exchange information with. And if you just walk by someone, next time you open your 3DS, you've got their Me and all sorts of other stuff could have gone on.
How do you, like, the guy who pitched that at Nintendo is like, I have an idea, so whenever you walk past someone, your 3DS communicates with another 3DS. Like, oh, that sounds, where'd you get the idea from? He's like, well, from an app from my phone to find gay guys that want to
This is the first Nintendo system ever to launch without a Mario or a Zelda. Did it need one?
I don't know. I mean, it's fine. Look, the thing right now is like Nintendo didn't need it because people will buy it regardless of that. But they need to have good software. I think like the 3DS we were saying before, don't get it now, but I would get it eventually because they always wind up having really good games.
I wasn't totally thrilled with any of the 3DS games. I think some are better than others. I don't know if there's any great games there, but I wouldn't bet against Nintendo on a 3D Mario game. I think Mario 3D might be the game that does for the 3DS what Wii Sports did for the Wii, where it's like, this is why this exists. Now we're gonna try something new. This is a segment we're calling Owning Up, and the idea is to have nerds confess their most embarrassing, nerdiest stories. This week we've got confessions from some of our friends. Here they are, enjoy.
I was a big fan of the card game Magic the Gathering, and I was also a big fan of computer baseball simulator games. And when I was in 8th grade, I combined the two and created an entire 30-team league on the computer game Hardball 5 using Magic the Gathering creatures as the players. When I was at my parents' house this past Christmas, I found my old stats. Season 23, Urborg, World Series champions.
So for my 5th grade class photo, we were supposed to bring in an item that represented ourselves. Some kids brought baseball bats, some kids brought CDs, I brought this. And in case you're wondering, no, it was not my plan to have the shirt match the backdrop. That was just a happy accident.
If you guys have any nerd scars you are proud to bear, we want to hear about it. Post a video on our Facebook wall telling your story. If it's funny, if it doesn't make us sad, we'll use it in an upcoming episode and send you a t-shirt. Moving on, our next guest used to work at College Humor, where he co-wrote the first 2 College Humor books. He currently writes for Mental Floss, and just recently, he was on Jeopardy, where he finished in 2nd place with $10,000. Please welcome a good friend of mine, Ethan Trex. How you doing today,
Hey, Jeff,
Ethan?
good to see you.
So, Ethan, you were not the greatest Jeopardy contestant in the history of the sport, and yet you are someone we know that applied to be on Jeopardy and got on. What was that process like?
You kind of go and do an online test that's, I believe it's 50 questions. They're not too hard. You have about 10 seconds to answer them. Then if you do well enough on that, they randomly draw names and invite you to an in-person audition. Then they called me, I don't know, 5 months later to come be on the show.
What was the experience of being on the show like?
It was a lot of fun, actually. I thought it'd be really, really nerve-wracking and everyone would be super intense, but everyone there was just incredibly friendly, all the other contestants. So the whole taping only takes like 25 minutes. So you're actually having a lot of fun with the buzzer, even when you're playing really poorly, like I did.
Let's talk about that buzzer for a second. I want to talk about buzzer strategy, because I noticed early in the game, your buzzes, very subtle, very controlled. You jumped out to an early lead, you got the first 3 in a row, but then later you kind of fell behind, and it looked like you were struggling with that buzzer a little. It looked like it was trying to jump out of your hand. What was going on there?
You can't buzz in until the question is completely read aloud by Trebek. The second he finishes the question, you get a little light on the side of the board, lights up, and that's when you can buzz in. If you buzz in early, you get locked out for like half a second. Ooh. A lot of the questions, especially the easy ones, everyone's getting locked out. That's why you can't just automatically get in. They encourage you really strongly to sort of madly pound on the button, and at every commercial break the producers would come up and kind of remind me, you know, it looks like you're just buzzing in once, you should really just mash the hell out of that button. So that's why I looked like a crazy person hitting it.
Did it work better when you mashed the hell out of it, or did it work better when you just tried to snipe it?
Yeah, I think it worked better when I tried to snipe it.
You think balls of those producers.
When you found out you were going on, did you start to prepare?
Yeah, I started studying a bunch of things that I didn't know, which was actually really dumb because so much of it is based on the buzzer. What I should have done is started playing Game Boy or something to make my thumb more reactive.
That's an interesting question. What would be a good video game to improve your reflexes if you're going on Jeopardy? Steven, do you have any ideas?
Well, I had a Jeopardy game back in the day, and I don't think that would have...
I had the Nintendo Jeopardy game where every time you got a question right, the people had like the one thing where they went...
I'm thinking of fighting game because there's a lot of reflexes, and it's probably a good game for someone who likes to memorize long pieces of useless information.
Left, down, right, B-A, B-A.
I want to know about Final Jeopardy, though. But first of all, can you hear the Final Jeopardy music?
Oh, yeah. Even though I answered the one that I was playing fairly quickly, once it changes keys there, it does get a little intense because you sit looking at it and thinking, oh no, this has to be wrong.
Do you pre-write the what is? Like, do they let you do that to save some time and thought?
Yeah, they come and tell you at that commercial break before, sort of, it's going to be a what is, a who is, whatever like that. So you sort of, they tell you to write that in the top left corner of your screen, and then you've got the whole rest of it sitting there to fill out whatever your right or wrong answer will be.
I've always noticed that in Final Jeopardy, it's like very peaceful, the what is, and then the answer is like scribbled out. It's like, ah! Like it's written with like a fist.
Ethan, how is it that you worked with us at College Humor, and yet you managed to miss this question?
A sign reading "Children left unattended will be towed away at owner's expense" is seen at thisblog.org. Ethan.
What is kotkey.org?
No. What is failblog?
Should you be on Failblog?
Yeah, I am, actually. It's one of the bigger distinctions of my life at this point.
In the most meta move ever, you ended up on Failblog for missing Failblog.
And on Kotkey. It really made me a multi-platform star missing that question. The .org threw me for a loop, and then I thought, well, what sort of pop culture and has a .org on it? I would not have thought that Failblog, that it had the sort of mission that would maybe earn one a .org domain.
Doesn't it kill you that was like a $1,000 question, and not knowing that because you got it wrong effectively cost you $2,000?
I hadn't thought about it like that, but yes.
Well, I'm glad we were able to have you on Nerd Alert to run through a list of your failures. Thank you so much for joining us, Ethan. Thank you, of course, to John and Steven. Nerd Alert will be back next week. In the meantime, enjoy CGY, our bad special effects of the week. Later, losers.
3 for 100, and then my